What's up, everybody? Welcome back. My name's Justin. This is Alpine Park in Planet Coaster. I wanted to start off this episode today touching up the queue area of our last roller coaster, adding some final details, covering up some spots that looked a little bare that I didn't finish last time, and then we'll move on to the next area. What do you guys think of the POV ride last episode? Did you enjoy it? Would you like to see more? What are your comments and thoughts on the layout of the ride? Love to hear from you. As this season progresses, we're going to move along the side of the lake and finish up this area. So, with that, we need to do the detailing around this flat ride that we put in the previous episode. I'm going to skip through a bunch of the unnecessary boring parts, like putting in the queue and the pathways, because we all know that that can be very finicky. And then I'm going to skip right here the installation and adding of the millions of little rocks, because we all know this takes forever, but it's worth it because of the look that we get at the end. As you can see, I obviously like using the rocks. It's an easy way to cover up imperfections in the ground, and it can block your line of sight as you're walking around the park too. That's not necessarily a good thing, but when you're trying to keep the immersion of the area that you're in, it can be a good thing. I really like the way that these bushes work. If you sink them into the ground, it works as a pretty good ground cover for small areas. And then you throw in some of these little flowers and it looks like a different flowering bush of some sort. But these bushes are tall enough and wide enough that you can use them in multiple different spots to cover up the uglies. And then you just go around and place some big bushes, some small bushes, some big rocks, some small rocks, some flowers, some more bushes, and then rocks, and then flowers, and then another rock probably. Maybe a tree, and then some more flowers and bushes. You know, rinse and repeat. Now this next area along the lake here, I don't think I'm going to pay too much attention to it in the video here, because it ends up looking pretty similar to the other side of the lake in front of Kestrel, our inverted coaster that we built. And a lot of people don't seem to use it. However, it's still a beautiful side of the park. Now this next area is an area that I was pretty proud of when I got it finished. I needed a way to fill in this dead space along the pathway and our ride here. So instead of building a big building, I decided why not use a bunch of vending machines and just put some shade cover over it, and it turned out looking pretty easy. It turned out looking quite well. Now a lot of it is just copy and paste, but that's a lot of what this game is when it comes to doing custom scenery and custom building. Sometimes building structures like this gets a little annoying, because if you have one piece at 1 degree off and then you multiply it, especially in a straight line, then that 1 degree after 10 pieces becomes like 5 feet. So you kind of have to really pay attention to your initial piece before you start copying. And unfortunately, I never learned my lesson, so yeah. I really wish that this game had more small wooden pieces as the in-game pieces instead of having to download it. But it would make it a lot easier for a lot of these buildings that we do build. Because it seems like when you're building these custom buildings, you really have to think about it as you are building like a real house. You need to have all your support structure and then your cross bracing, your pieces, everything in place so that at the end, what the final product is exactly like it would be in real life. Now, unfortunately, in real life, copy and paste isn't quite as realistic, but you know, good thing this isn't real life. So I've recently gotten back into watching a bunch of Planet Coaster build a series on YouTube, and it's really got me inspired to try some new things out and think outside the box a little bit. So hopefully that shows in upcoming episodes, and my buildings look a little more impressive and not just cookie cutter out of the box. So as you've seen so far with this little structure, it's been a lot, excuse me, it's been a lot of cut, paste, copy here and there, and now going through and doing all the fine-tuned editing of where all the posts should go. Now, yes, they all have their spots, they should all be in the corners, but depending on where the paths are, they had to be moved. So we have to kind of go with the flow, because in reality, the structure wouldn't be holding any weight, so, and wood can hold quite a bit, so in a long span, so I think we'd be safe anyways. So to finish up this little area, we're going to cover up our pathways, make it look a little nicer and a little cleaner. Clean up those lines, because otherwise it's going to drive me crazy. Overall, in the end, with this little structure, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It fits in this little pocket in our walkways, and it gives people extra areas to walk, places to get food and drink, get rid of some trash, get some shade, and hang out. Although every time I go over here when I'm playing the game, there is never anybody here. They're always complaining about the long lines at the restaurants, and the vendors always complaining because they're bored. I don't get this game. If you look at every vendor and employee that I have, even though they're all super high trained and they have high pay wage, they're all complaining. So I don't know. Now over here I had another small area to fill in, and I didn't want to put another building right here. I wanted to keep with our mountain and forest theme that we had going on around Miner's Run. So I decided to make a little walking path through the trees here. And I cut out a lot of it because flying through the trees in speed build mode here is rather distracting. So we'll just show you the outside of it, what I'm working on it, and the end. Now going back over here, we got our fence in, and we have to fill in with some more landscaping, of course. So again, I'm using some of these bushes, and as you see, I'm using the same bushes in the same area just to keep it a cohesive theme. I'm incorporating the orange and the blue from Miner's Run, again, to incorporate it into our themed area. Overall, I think that area turned out really well, and I really like the way that it turned out. Cutting back over here, we're going to fill in some of these little gaps in our pathway with some more rocks and flower paths. Keep people from wanting to try to cut through there and make it look pretty again. So I haven't done much terrain editing since I put this coaster in, so I had to come in and fix a few spots. I don't like it when the coaster doesn't go all the way down to the ground for no reason, so of course we had to bring the ground up to it and then make it look nice before we moved on to our next area. And I apologize. Apparently I forgot to record building this building, so here's the end of it, I guess. We're going to fill it in with some trees and make it look like it was built into the forest. I really like that because it makes it look like the forest gets here first, the buildings were built in and around the trees. And when you get the buildings and the trees that close, it looks like they really built it around the trees. And of course, this is just going to be a bathroom, but it's going to be a kicking off point for our next little food and drink area. And of course, before we finish up this area, we have to add some more benches, some more seating. You always need seating in theme parks because people get tired of walking around all day long, especially when you have to stand in line for 3 hours and you're not allowed to sit on the handrail. So, finish up that area with some more flowers and bushes, and we're going to jump over here to our new concession area. Now these buildings are in the end going to end up looking like the restrooms that we just built, but I'm totally okay with that because I like the way this area turns out. I have a feeling I'm going to be saying that a lot, otherwise I wouldn't be posting it. Now I don't want these buildings to be too attention seeking, I think is the right word to use. So they stay pretty simple, and I'm totally okay with that. When I can, and I'm building these bigger buildings, I always try to sneak in a staff room, because otherwise they just whine and complain while you're playing the game. Also, I think it helps make it look more realistic, because in real parks, staff members have to have a place to go. When I worked at Cedar Point, they weren't necessarily in the buildings, but they were in backstage areas that guests couldn't get to. But they were always well placed and just like a quick 1, maybe 2 minute walk from your ride, because you could get to the areas from multiple directions. What I like about the way that this area ends up turning out is that it's in a big half circle shape, and it's off of the path so people can still get across and through without the lines of people at the restaurants getting in the way. Again, I wanted to keep these buildings fairly simple. I didn't want them looking exactly the same unless they were connected, but they all look like they were built obviously with the same materials at the same time, same construction, all that stuff. Just putting in the last couple details and this area is complete. However, after playing this game afterwards, I realized that I forgot pretty much all lighting in that area, so we're gonna have to go back at some point and take care of that. Now, as you can see, I was able to sneak this fireball right in, or whatever it's called. And yes, I did copy that canopy that I had just built earlier, but I'm okay with it because it fits in our area really well. It serves its purpose, and there's no need to build a completely new structure when you already got one that works just fine. It's small, compact, and does what we need it to. So here we're just going to fill in with some more landscaping, make it look pretty and welcoming. And if you've been paying attention, you've noticed that I stopped using orange and blue flowers because we're not in the Miners Run area. However, I did start using those red bushes because they are the colors of the fireball red that we just put in. We're going to go through here real quick, finish decorating up our little walkway along the lake and under the trees, and we will get back to you with a little walkthrough. Alright guys, well now that we got to the end of this episode, I figured we'd do a little walkthrough, catch up on everything before we move to our next episode. So we added this flat ride, and I made this little canopy, this awning, for the key ride. I thought it was pretty neat. And if you were paying attention, yes, I reused it from earlier, but I made it from scratch, so I figured it was worth using again. Now, moving on, back towards Miners Run, we have our Ferris wheel that we did a little bit more landscaping around. thought it looked pretty classic and pretty classy, so I like that. Other side here is all of our restaurants. Now to me this feels like I'm at a Boy Scout camp or at a national park, and I'm totally okay with that feeling for this area of the park. So I think I achieved what I was going for. Now let's head back through here, and we emerge back to our little canopy with all of our vending machines that nobody wants to use, which is fine. Back up here, the entrance of Miners Run. You can see I added a little sign there because I knew it needed a little something. Over here, our benches getting plenty of use. And our restaurants that we added. I really like the way that this area turned out. Very inviting. I like that there are many different pathways that you can get to different areas from. You just kind of know where to go. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this episode. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to hit that like button. Leave a comment if you feel so inclined, and please, I would appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to be updated on new episodes. That's going to do it for today. Thank you. Bye.